I know I have the speed, and he opens up. These were just a couple of the tactical reasons Andy Ruiz had given prior to dismantling Anthony Joshua in 7 rounds, becoming the new unified heavyweight champion of the world. He saw something tactically that the vast majority of us didn't. He wanted to fight AJ more so than the other top 2 heavyweights, and he did an absolute doozy on him. Now, because of how shocking this is, probably at least the biggest upset in heavyweight history since the first Lewis-Rackman fight, I've heard a lot of rationalising by various people, other boxing channels, other pundits, because they're trying to rationalise what's happened here emotionally, trying to make sense of it. The fact is, though, you either picked Ruiz to win or you didn't. Now, a lot of people, including myself, recognise that Ruiz was a good fighter and might give AJ some trouble, but there is a huge difference between giving someone trouble and picking them to win. I, like most people, massively shocked. Now, what exactly happened here? I think Ruiz was able to exploit, I think what most of us can agree, is one of Joshua's main weaknesses, his stamina issues. He was able to exert a kind of pressure on Joshua that made him even more pensive than he already was. Now, Joshua came into the arena looking very anxious. I think the pressure to perform is starting to get to him, and that maybe 10%, you could say, went into this disaster. But ultimately, I slightly underrated Ruiz in terms of his technical ability. I thought because of his toughness and the fact he keeps his chin down, he'd last until the mid to late rounds, but I underrated that subtle little movement that was making AJ uncharacteristically gun-shy. Where the hell was the jab? He was not sure how to deal with Ruiz, who was coming on him, making him give ground. Now, AJ had been working on those big legs of his, originally against Miller, for a stronger foundation, but he was being forced back all the time, didn't look comfortable. Where was the jab? There was no variety in it. He was just waiting until he could ping him with something big, which he did do in the 3rd round, a great left hook. But here was the real key point of the fight, and you could say just the excellence of Ruiz. Here is a guy who's never been floored. He gets hit with a great left hook. Straight away, his eyes are on the referee. He is not overwhelmed. He has got tunnel vision, and he is insistent on carrying out what he intended to do. Now, fighters who do have a lot of heart in this situation, they might still try and go for it, but they'll do so in a scrappy way where they're just looking for a big home run shot because they know now they've been hurt and can be hurt. Not Ruiz. He remained tactically grounded. He got up, he actually slipped some of AJ's shots, and then he whips in a beautiful left hook, which was the best shot he landed, and changed the whole fight. Again, I think I tactically underrated Ruiz, and I'm going to try and make sense of this. And AJ, while he has beaten a lot of good fighters, there was some seriously amateurish stuff in there, which perhaps in a way reminds us this is a guy who's only had 22, 23 fights now, and didn't have the biggest amateur career. When he was getting flustered and getting attacked, you either hit a defensive posture and look for a counter, or you grab the guy. No survival instincts. He was putting his chin down, his hands up like a guy who was shitting it in sparring. That's how it was going. He wasn't able to deal with Ruiz, and he didn't look like he was tactically trying to figure out how to change things. He just kept getting backed up, burning more mental nervous energy, until Ruiz got his chance again in the 7th, and then that was it. Some people have said Joshua quit. That seems a bit much, but he was certainly looking pretty withdrawn at that moment. He didn't look really like he wanted to go on. Some of those knockdowns were a bit scrappy, and it looked like he was just trying to get away from it because he wasn't able to deal with Ruiz's quick counter punches. Ruiz was clever in there. He is a come forward, pressure counter-puncher. If you look at Ruiz, he was getting close to Joshua, but he was also waiting for Joshua to throw at him. He'd take those little backward steps, make sure his distance was incorrect, and then boom, boom, boom. 3-4 hooks very quickly. And AJ, I think, apart from that first knockdown, I think he wasn't so much hurt here as he was just flustered, overwhelmed. Some people have even said a panic attack. I don't know what was going on in there. But Ruiz stuck to his plan, tactically again saw something he could exploit in AJ, and really did it. I guess you could use the word exposed. This was nothing like Lennox Lewis getting dusted by McCall or Rackman. They were one-shot lottery winners. This looks like it could be a stylistic nightmare. Nightmare's a strong word. I don't think we're looking at a Frazier Foreman type situation, but Ruiz with his stumpy arms, with his clever little movement, the way he gets inside, and the way he knows AJ is going to want to have it out with him because he's more of a destroyer than a boxer himself. He knows how to land those shots on him. There's probably going to be a rematch. If it's an immediate rematch in the UK, that is really dangerous, because Joshua has started this year as arguably the best heavyweight out of all of them, to, if he were to lose a rematch, his career could be over as a top flight heavyweight. Crazy stuff. Massive congrats to Andy Ruiz. I'm sure there is going to be a rematch, but for now, I think he's definitely getting that Snickers sponsorship.